A rumor has been gaining traction in the darkest corners of the fandom, and I wasn't expecting this detail to surface so soon. We all witnessed that incredibly tense, heart-stopping moment at the pool recently. The atmosphere shifted the exact second Hudson walked into the room. Ethan took one look at this mysterious new arrival, completely abandoned his budding romance with Ava, and bolted like his life depended on it. On the surface, it looked like a classic case of a man running from his past. But there is a hidden agenda here, and a secret that someone is desperately trying to keep buried. This is not just a simple game of cat and mouse. An unconfirmed information drop suggests that the narrative we are being fed is nothing but a carefully constructed illusion designed to keep us looking in the wrong direction. Everyone assumes that Ethan is the primary target. Most viewers believe that Hudson is a dangerous debt collector, a ruthless hitman, or a ghost from a past con gone wrong who has finally tracked Ethan down to exact a brutal revenge. The obvious explanation seems to be that Ethan has crossed the wrong powerful executive, and Hudson is here to make him pay the ultimate price. We all know Ethan has a long, documented history of making enemies, pulling off shady deals, and leaving a trail of broken promises in his wake. When he abruptly halted his romance with Ava and fled the town, it perfectly fit the profile of a guilty man trying to save his own skin. The audience is practically trained to believe that whenever Ethan runs, it is because his own selfish mistakes have finally caught up with him. What if that wasn't the real reason? What if someone planned this entire sequence of events to protect a much more fragile secret? What if the situation is being manipulated from the very top? There may be more going on here than a simple revenge plot against a known grifter. I have a completely different theory, an insider buzz that changes the entire landscape of this storyline. What if Hudson never actually cared about Ethan? What if the true target of Hudson's relentless search has always been Delilah? According to this behind-the-scenes possibility, Hudson arrived in town armed with outdated intelligence. He received a final, lingering clue months ago that Delilah was heading to this exact location, and he has been painstakingly tracking her movements ever since. The tragic reality that Hudson is completely oblivious to is that Delilah is already dead. Furthermore, Hudson has absolutely no idea that Delilah left behind a beautiful daughter named Phoebe. If you ask me, Ethan is not just running to save his own life. He is running to fulfill a desperate, sacred promise to protect Phoebe. Ethan knows that he is the only person who understands the true danger Hudson represents. By fleeing the moment Hudson appeared, Ethan essentially turned himself into a decoy. He intentionally drew the attention away from the child, knowing that if he stayed, Hudson would inevitably start digging into his life and discover the little girl. Ethan is playing a highly dangerous game of misdirection, sacrificing his own stability and his romance with Ava to ensure that Phoebe remains completely hidden from Hudson's radar. It is a selfless act disguised as a cowardly retreat. But secrets in this town never stay buried forever. Something about this feels hidden, but it is bound to explode soon. I keep wondering whether Hudson will inevitably cross paths with Jocelyn. Jocelyn is deeply embedded in the intelligence agency's operations right now, constantly navigating high-stakes situations. Imagine a scenario where Hudson, utilizing his vast network and investigative skills, strikes up a conversation with Jocelyn while searching for traces of Delilah. Jocelyn, completely unaware of Hudson's true identity or his dangerous motives, might casually mention the tragic fate of Delilah and the existence of the orphan baby, Phoebe. That single, unintentional slip of the tongue would be the catastrophic catalyst that brings all the puzzle pieces together. In that horrifying moment, Hudson would realize he arrived far too late to save Delilah, but just in time to claim her hidden legacy. The impending collision between Hudson, Jocelyn, and the truth opens up several terrifying paths. That's one possibility. But another theory is that Hudson is a rogue operative with a deeply personal, obsessive vendetta against Delilah. In this scenario, Hudson is not looking to rescue or reunite with Delilah. He is hunting her to silence her for good. If he discovers that Delilah is dead but left behind a child, Phoebe instantly becomes his new target. He might view the child as a loose end, a carrier of whatever genetic or informational threat Delilah possessed. Ethan knew this dark truth, which is why his panic at the pool was so visceral and immediate. Ethan isn't just protecting a child from a bad father. He is protecting an innocent life from a ruthless assassin who will stop at nothing to erase Delilah's entire bloodline from existence. What if we're looking at this the wrong way? Let us explore a second, equally compelling possibility. What if Hudson genuinely believes he is the biological father of Phoebe? In this narrative, Hudson and Delilah shared a passionate but toxic romance years ago. Delilah, terrified of Hudson's dark connections and dangerous lifestyle, fled to protect her unborn child. Hudson has spent years tearing the world apart, looking for the woman he loved and the child he never got to meet. When he finally uncovers the truth from Jocelyn, his grief over Delilah's death will rapidly transform into a fierce, unstoppable determination to claim his daughter. This would ignite a massive town-wide custody war, dragging Ava, Ethan, and everyone who loves Phoebe into a brutal legal and physical battle against a man who has unlimited resources and absolutely nothing left to lose. Let us pivot to a third, highly speculative scenario based on the current insider buzz. What if Hudson is not acting on his own behalf at all? What if he is merely a highly paid retrieval specialist hired by a shadowy third party? In this version of the story, Delilah stole something of incalculable value before she died. Perhaps a cryptographic key, a piece of the cold fusion research that Ross and Jens were obsessed with, or a hard drive containing devastating blackmail material. The employer believes that Delilah hid this item with her most trusted confidant or cleverly disguised it within her daughter's belonging. Hudson is simply the bloodhound sent to retrieve the stolen asset. Ethan fled because he knows exactly what Delilah stole, and he knows that Hudson will tear the entire town apart, putting Phoebe in unimaginable danger just to acquire it. However, as thrilling as those scenarios are, they might just be scratching the surface. We have to ask the ultimate question. Is Hudson actually the biological father of Phoebe? According to the most persistent speculation, the answer is a resounding no. The writers are deliberately dangling Hudson in front of us as a massive red herring, a distraction designed to keep us from seeing the terrifying truth lurking in the shadows. The real biological father of Phoebe is someone far more powerful, far more dangerous, and deeply entrenched in the current ongoing storyline. The most dangerous possibility, the theory that will leave you absolutely speechless, is that the true father of Phoebe is none other than Z, the ruthless head of the intelligence agency. Think about the sheer magnitude of this hidden agenda. We all know the agency is not a clean, noble organization. It is a den of vipers, overflowing with double agents, black ops, and a long, bloody history of covering up the heinous crimes of its own members. Z himself is the ultimate enigma. When he first appeared to negotiate with Jocelyn, he projected the aura of a reasonable, pragmatic leader, but the more we analyze his actions, the more sinister he becomes. Look at what he just did with Cassius. Z orchestrated a massive lie, officially declaring Cassius dead to the entire world, allowing Jocelyn to smear his reputation and use him as a convenient scapegoat for the crimes committed by Ross. Meanwhile, Z is secretly keeping Cassius alive, treating him and manipulating him behind closed doors to turn him into his own personal weapon. A man who can orchestrate a fake death and manipulate a grieving family without batting an eye is capable of absolutely anything. This brings us back to Delilah. What if Delilah was once a highly skilled operative, or perhaps a civilian who got too close to Z during one of his undercover operations? They shared a secret, forbidden relationship that resulted in the birth of Phoebe. But Delilah possessed a fatal flaw. She knew too much. She uncovered the darkest, most heavily guarded secrets of the agency, perhaps evidence of Z orchestrating assassinations, funding rogue projects like the Cold Fusion Initiative, or protecting monsters like Jens and Ross for his own financial gain. Delilah became a massive liability, a ticking time bomb that threatened to destroy Z's entire empire and expose the corruption to the world. In the ruthless, cold-blooded world of espionage, liabilities are not negotiated with. They are eliminated. According to this terrifying behind-the-scenes possibility, it was Z who gave the ultimate order to have Delilah silenced permanently. He dispatched his best operatives to hunt down the woman he once loved to protect his own power. But the tragic irony is that Z's intelligence network failed him in one crucial aspect. He ordered the hit on Delilah, but he has absolutely no idea that she had already given birth to his daughter, Phoebe. He believes the threat is neutralized, completely unaware that a living, breathing piece of his legacy is currently residing in the very town his agents are monitoring. Where does Hudson fit into this nightmare? Hudson is not a vengeful ex-lover or a grieving father. Hudson is simply Z's most efficient, oblivious operative. Z dispatched Hudson to trace Delilah's final steps, perhaps to retrieve any physical evidence or files she might have hidden before she was silent. Hudson is a loyal soldier following orders, completely in the dark about the true nature of his mission. He does not know that Delilah is dead by Z's command, and he certainly does not know that the little girl he might stumble upon is the biological daughter of his supreme commander. If Hudson pieces the puzzle together during a conversation with Jocelyn, he will be holding a secret so explosive it could get him killed the moment he reports back to headquarters. The implications of this theory are absolutely staggering. If Z is revealed to be Phoebe's father and the architect of Delilah's demise, the fallout will shatter the entire canvas. It would irrevocably change Phoebe's destiny, transforming her from an innocent orphan into the heir of a corrupt intelligence empire. It would also ignite a massive war to bring Z down, potentially involving Anna, Jason, Valentin, and Carly, all of whom have suffered under the agency's tyrannical rule. Will Hudson discover the truth and use it to blackmail Z? Will Ethan return to protect the child from her own monstrous father? We cannot confirm anything just yet, but the pieces are aligning in a way that is impossible to ignore. This rumor might be true, or it might just be the tip of an even more horrifying iceberg. One thing is absolutely certain. There is a dark, untold chapter in this story, and when the truth finally bleeds out, nothing will ever be the same again.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.